As we continue with our discussion of design intent, I want to, in this video, take a look at just going into SOLIDWORKS and working with some design intent. So with that in mind, I'll close my introduction slide and just hop over to SOLIDWORKS. So here in SOLIDWORKS, I've got three parts, and they plausibly look to be the same part. They're the same shape, the same size, same everything. And so if you're just creating this part, it's like, oh, meh, these look just fine. Now the question comes up is, what if I want to make a change to this part? Is it going to do what I want it to do? So let's start out with the part in the bottom. And as you look at this, let's think about how you might want to change this part and how you expect it to behave. And so for example, if I wanted to change the length of the part, I would expect the part to get longer. I would expect the fillets and rounds on the edges to keep their shape. I expect the hole to probably stay centered. Likewise, if I wanted to change the height of the part, I would expect sort of the same type of thing. So let's go in and see if we can change the part. First, I'm going to just right click on the feature. I'm going to click on the notations and show feature dimensions. So this will help me take a look at the different dimensions on the part, and you might be able to get a sense right away by looking at the dimensions on this particular part that's like, there seems to be a lot of dimensions here and not quite sure that this is going to work very well. So here's the length of the part. Let's change that. Let's go to a 12 units for the length, and then we will rebuild the part and see what happens. And this doesn't look quite the way I expected it to. Some things that you might have noticed, let me try to stretch this out a little bit more, go to 14. And so my fillets are changing. They're no longer 45-degree fillets or chamfers on the ends. The hole is moving with the length to the right side. The left side seems to be behaving reasonably well. Let me try to make this maybe shorter. We started out with like 10, so let's go down to 8. Ooh, that even looks worse. So if I'm making the part shorter, my design intent continues to kind of, oh, well then there it disappeared. And sometimes this can be a problem, and this is why design intent is important, because it is possible to make things disappear if you have bad design intent. So we can see that there's a bunch of potential problems, and if we again look at how this part is created, I'm just going to go into the sketch associated with the part. And we can see sort of really bad design intent, I guess. I was going to say there might be some redeeming characteristics in the design intent, but not necessarily. So a couple of examples. The hole is constrained from the edge, which is, as plausible, not necessarily unreasonable, but you've got this 8th dimension here between the chamfer and the fillet. So what if I go in and change that dimension? And that makes my part unbalanced. I've got this 9 here to dimension this other chamfer, and so that again is an individual dimension. So I've got everything, so many dimensions on this part, just complex and very, very hard to work with. So for example, if I change this 1 here to a 2, I don't know what this is going to do. Oh, that wasn't good. Let me change it to something else. It's like, oh, that's not expected. So there's lots of things on here that are over dimensioned. So for example, on this side I've dimensioned to the center of the circle 1 and 1, and then I've added a radius, and so I've got this way over dimensioned. Just a lot of extra stuff. So please don't create a model like this. This is really bad design intent. Wow. Okay, let's try something hopefully a little bit better. Let's go to this model right here and see if we can do something with it. And again, I'm just going to go to the annotations folder, show feature dimensions, and there they are. And all of a sudden this looks a little bit cleaner. Let's see what happens when we change the length of this one. So let's go to 12 and see if it sort of holds together. And no, we still kind of have the same problem with the fillets going on. One nice thing is that the hole didn't move, and so one thing that I expect when I make a dimension to one change, I typically expect one thing to change, and so I am changing the length, and so the only thing that is changing is kind of the length, but also these fillets are kind of changing, so that's not real great, and I can probably make this part go away if I try hard enough. And there it went, disappeared. But hopefully if I change the dimension back, it comes back. If I play with the height, let's see if the height is set up reasonably well. That's not what I wanted it to do. So this is not great design intent either. It's a little bit better than the last one. There's fewer dimensions. Let's see if I change this 9 to an 8. And, just having a hard time satisfying myself that there's any good design intent at all. So again, this is a little bit better created. There are not so many dimensions on it, but still it's just not very good design intent. Hopefully we can do better. So let's wander over here to another part and see how this one works. Hopefully I've got one of these parts that has some reasonable design intent. So back over to annotations, show my feature dimensions, and I don't see a whole lot. They must be hidden. There they are. And the first thing that you'll notice, like, wow, this one is very clean, very few dimensions, so I wonder what that means. And so let me try to change this length and see what the design intent looks like. Like, oh, everything kind of held together. The hole's still in the center. That didn't affect the chamfers. The fillets are still fine. What if I change the height here? Change that to 6. Well, that's pretty nice. The hole's still in the middle. Chamfers, everything's intact. And so, let's see if I change this chamfer instead of a 1-inch chamfer. Let me make it a 2-inch chamfer. How's that work? Let me rebuild this. Like, oh, both the chamfers are connected to each other. And that may be good or bad. Sometimes you can overdo that but the design intent here is to have both chamfers be the same, and so as you change one, you change the other. How about this circle over here, this radius, this fillet? What if I change that? And you can see the design intent here is that both the fillets on the ends are designed to be the same, and so that's kind of built in, and so that's part of the design intent of the part. So this is where we go with good design intent. So this part has pretty good design intent. And one thing that you'll notice compared to the other two parts were just a single boss extrude. In this particular part, there's the boss extrude, but then the fillets were added by a fillet feature and the chamfers were added by a chamfer feature. And those have a little bit more power as far as helping us to control the model and change the model compared to maybe just using, I could have put these into the sketch, but I did not because I thought it would be easier to control the design intent with them outside the sketch. So my basic part sketch is just this right here. It's got 3 dimensions on it. It is a center rectangle, so everything is centered on the origin. So the part expands out from the origin. Very simple dimensioning scheme. And then the fillets and chamfers are added after I create my first extrusion. So that's just a quick example of you can create the same part multiple ways, but just because you can create the part doesn't mean you've created a part with good design intent. And so as you go through the first set of assignments, your goal will be to think about how to model the part, and again, creating the part is not good enough for this class, because if you just do that, you'll get in trouble very quickly with several of our assignments. So you're going to have to build good design intent into all of your parts that you create.